Hey everyone, Dan here. Before we get into it, if you enjoy these videos, please hit the like and subscribe button. And keep in mind that these are my own thoughts, opinions, and ideas. These are not meant to be, nor should you take them as, investment or trading advice in any way, shape, or form. Do your own due diligence. Put in the work for yourself and make your decisions based on that. Enjoy. All right, folks, here we are on Sunday, January 21st. I thought we would check in on Nikola today. So Nikola trying to do a little something with this 50 to 60 range. I guess we could say like 58 to 65-ish range, and trying for the moment at least to hold that area. Now, if it's going to be able to hold and push, I don't yet know. We'll have to see. But, as it does approach that 70 level, if it can get there, we do have that resistance level in, which has held up reasonably well as of late. So it'll be another test for that. It got that test on the way down here, got that test on the hold and push over here. Now, if we dip below, there's, this is how many levels we have in the chart. We just can't see them because the price action gets so far away. There's a couple of levels that may be worth putting in here in case it bats itself around here for longer. Let me see how this one looks. Okay, I think that's probably a fair split the difference kind of level. High 62s to 63, depending on if you just want to round up to the whole number. These fractions of pennies are always a little bit annoying. But, okay, 58, 55. So if we sort of get back to where we were and see, how this played out. So it's just fraction of a penny off of where this wick came in, and then this is, right sort of in the midst of where it's trying to stabilize at the moment, putting in some nice candle bodies here over, this candle body obviously looking like a fairly hammer-ish candle, and that's where that candle body settled as well. So we'll see if that can provide any relief with Nikola, which is obviously a long, extremely distressed stock. And, this gap has already been filled up here, so I don't necessarily see any particular draw, toward the dollar region because of that. It doesn't mean it can't go that way for other reasons, but we'll see. But that 58, 55, 62, 75, the nearest in level at the moment, and then if it can start to stretch, 70, 77, 80, 85, as you can see on the chart. Now, on the think or swim side of things, we did have this trigger, fire, and then re-trigger and refire. I don't exactly know what it's doing with this most recent trigger and fire. Let me double check something here. Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily say that this is a re-trigger and a refire. Usually I use that to describe something where like there was a trigger and a fire and nothing really happened, but obviously something happened here, right? It was triggering, and then when it fired, it pushed it all the way out of the bottom of the channel immediately, and then a roller coaster rode its way back up, settled near the mid-range of the channel, and then started to put in a new trigger. And then when it fired, it started to push again toward the lower bound of the channel. Now the question is that going to be the move? Meaning, is it going to push it down through the channel again, and maybe a more extensive, longer running drawdown in price? Or was that the extent of the move, right? It was a pretty, relative to this one, pretty brief trigger. And now we're in the midst of sort of a brief fire. So, was that just the move from it, this drop from mid-range to lower bound? Or what we do see sometimes is a counter trend move before the actual move. And so sometimes we see this trigger near the mid-range, and when it fires, the first few candles go the opposite direction of where the big move is going to come from. So if it were to play out like that, it would look like, settling down here, holding this resistance, holding this support in the channel, and then bang, like coming up and maybe pressing up through the mid-range of the channel, or maybe even to the upper bound of the channel. This channel doesn't look that wide, like if you're just looking at it right now, but it takes the price from about 59 all the way up to about 93. And percentage-wise, like that's a huge range to be able to work within and still be within the channel. So this channel is just sort of like the embodiment of the volatility and the wild swings that Nikola can have. So so that said, it could have a pretty big move and still stay within the channel, which isn't a bad thing. But just to point out, like even stretching to the mid-range here would put it up into the mid-70s, you know, depending on when it gets there, because this channel moves every time a candle is put in. So even that, again, would be a pretty big percentage gain if it were to get there. So we'll see, but those are basically the three things that I'm wondering about from this most recent trigger and fire. I guess with the fourth thing being, you know, maybe it's nothing, but I don't think nothing would be fair because it at least has already made a move from the mid-range toward the lower bound. So if anything, we could say that's the move, that move's done, and now we'll see what it does. Or maybe it's going to push down further and the move is going to extend, or maybe this was initial counter move and then the real move is coming to stretch up toward the mid-range. So those are the three sort of possibilities that I'm watching for and see how they may or may not play out as things progress. But these levels are also pretty interesting. At least there is that little bit of old price action, you know, that we were able to scroll left to grab some levels that at least gives us something to go off of, as opposed to being sort of completely lost in the dark in price ranges where there's no previous price action. All right, folks, I hope that you have had an enjoyable weekend, and as always, I appreciate you watching, and I will see you in the next video.